Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Mo, and I'm here to talk about one of my favorite Danmei book series, Thousand Autumns. I'm not really too sure why this book series doesn't have a bigger fan. I feel like I kind of know why, and we'll get into that. But regardless of why it doesn't have as loud a presence as I feel like it deserves, I'm here to tell you guys today why you should be reading Thousand Autumns. Like, this is genuinely, I would say, in a world of heaven officials' blessings, Grand Master of Demonic Cultivation, Scum Villain. Like, in the world we exist where those books exist, those books like I sincerely love, Thousand Autumns is a little bit different. And I remember when I was asking people, should I read this? They were like, no, it's good, it's good. And I was like, okay. And I eventually was like, I can't lose anything by just checking out the first volume. And I did, and I ended up really enjoying it. And I'm gonna say the reason why I enjoyed it is because it's a Danmei series, BL, absolutely, but it's about two grown-ass men who act like grown-ass men and make grown-ass men decisions. And I completely live for that because, again, Grandmaster, Scum Villain, these always have young, I don't know if protagonists, younger main male couples. And this, you got like dudes. I mean, yes, they're both like immortals in a sense, but you've got gentlemen who are, I would say in our time, put them in their 40s, late 30s. In their time, Yan Wushi is definitely like a couple of centuries. But yeah, and I've talked about this book series before, and I checked before I started recording. There's probably been like 50 views. That's how little people care in everything that I post, where I'm always like, oh my God, does anyone care about this? This has been shockingly, like, yeah, it's been shocking to me how much people don't like go out of their way to read this book. And I'm here to tell you, you should absolutely go out of your way to read this book. And yeah, that video was from 7 months ago, guys. 50 views. Like, please go watch it. If you like Thousand Autumns, do it for the fandom. But yeah, so why should you read this book? What is it about this book that makes it so good? Well, let's get there. You got Yan Wushi, who is the leader of a demonic sect, and then you've got Shen Qiao, who is the leader of a Taoist sect, who is pushed into a duel that leads to him getting like kicked off the cliff and and presumed for dead, and his sect getting taken over. So those are our two main actors in this book. There are 5 volumes. No, 5 volumes. Is that how that goes? There are 5 volumes in the series. I just got volume 5 in the mail the other day and just started reading it, and immediately I was like, I've missed this. So I've mentioned already how the main couple acts like grown men, and also how it kind of fares in comparison to other Danmei book series out there. Book series that I love from the bottom of my heart, but hits a little bit different in comparison to Thousand Autumns. So let me just give you guys the book like synopsis, the back of volume 1. Yan Wushi, leader of the demonic Wanye sect, is a master cultivator, a brilliant strategist, and an incurable cynic. That right there is the key word. Yan Wushi is a cynic. In his philosophy, every human heart is ruled by cruelty and selfishness. Anyone who believes otherwise is either a liar or a fool. Enter the humble Shen Qiao, leader of the Taoist sect at Xuandu Mountain. He is both gracious and charitable, and exactly the type of do-gooder that Yan Wushi despises. When Shen Qiao suffers a shocking loss in a duel and is left for dead, Yan Wushi happens upon him and concocts a plan to teach him about the wretchedness of humanity. He'll take Shen Qiao under his wing, test the limits of his faith, and lure him into demonic cultivation. After all, it is easy to remain righteous atop a mountain peak that touches the heavens, but 1,000 autumns toiling on the blood-soaked earth will break any man. So that right there is sort of the motivation behind a lot of what Yan Wushi does in book 1. He wants to take a good man and make him bad. He does not believe there is anyone in this life who is genuinely a good person, and if you are, then you must be a fool. So here he is, like, I'm gonna take this Taoist monk who has lived secluded, away from society, away from trials and tribulations, from the temptation of humanity. Shen Qiao, like, gets into this duel. He's knocked off a cliff during the battle, and everybody's like, oh, he's dead. So his sect members think he's dead. When they go look for his body, he's not there. But that's because Yan Wushi took his body, and Yan Wushi's like, interesting. And he takes Shen Qiao. Shen Qiao wakes up, memory loss, doesn't know who he is, and Yan Wushi takes this as an opportunity to turn him bad. Now, I love Shen Qiao. Shen Qiao, even with memory loss, is like, I smell your bullshit. Instinctually, I sense this man across from me is up to no good. So book 1 essentially tells the story of, is it possible to take a good man who has lived a secluded life and turn him bad? And I feel like if Yan Wushi had done this with any other person from Shen Qiao's sect, he would have been successful. But Shen Qiao is a different type of person. He is essentially a person who teaches us that it's okay to just believe what you believe. Believe what you believe regardless of others, and just go through. Yeah, I don't even want to say go through. He's just comfortable believing what he believes, even in the face of its consequences. Now, one thing I want to be clear about before we move further is Shen Qiao's religion. That makes a big difference in sort of how a lot of the stories flow through. So Shen Qiao is a Taoist, and Taoism is essentially the belief of, like, living in harmony with the world, just being the balance of things and moving with, I guess, being able to be adaptable, but moving with the flow of the world without letting it throw you off center. Now, of course, that's easier said than done. Like, for example, let's say you're like, oh, I'm mad zen, but then there's a fire and there's a baby in there. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to try and save that baby? Are you going to not? If you do and you get injured, is it worth it? Those are the conflicts of Taoism, and those are the conflicts of Shen Qiao. Like, this again is a man who has lived secluded, away from the drama of the world, away from the reality of these types of questions, philosophical or not. So when he's thrown off a mountain, when he's then I'm trying to grab the book, and when he's thrown off the mountain, when he is rescued by Yan Wushi, even though he's like, you shady, my guy, he still goes along with him. And book 1 is essentially a story of the beginning of their journey together. It tells Shen Qiao recovering his memory slowly, us being able to see Shen Qiao's values, us being able to see how he acts, how smart he is, how he deduces. I will say the one thing, when I started reading, I was like, dang, there's not really like a lot of flirting in book 1, but like there's chemistry, and you're just like, when you're used to like having officials blessing, when it's just like gaga, gaga, and you have a book like this where it's just like the kingdom or like a homeless kid will die, when it's a bit more like straightforward, it's less cute. It's less cute, but it's a strong and adult way of looking at things. We all love the sugar rush of a heaven official's blessings, but sometimes I have to say you gotta check out a Shen Qiao and a Yan Wushi type relationship. Now, next thing I gotta say, so while book 1 is Shen Qiao recovering his memories, us getting to know him as an individual, we also get to know Yan Wushi as an individual, and Yan Wushi is an asshole. I can't even put it any nicer like that. Yan Wushi is terrible. He is mean. He is duplicitous. He's calculating. He is rude. Like, I genuinely, after, like, again, I just started volume 5, and volume 5 is like, you're just there like, do we want Shen Qiao to end up with this guy? Because Yan Wushi, for the first 3 books, is genuinely terrible. And not like he's doing mean things. He's not tortured, but the mind games from Yan Wushi to Shen Qiao, where at first he's like, oh, you're my disciple. And then as time goes on, Shen Qiao in book 1 starts to recover his memories. And he's like, yeah, you're not my disciple. I was just doing that to fuck with you. And like, okay, you can go along. And then like, they kind of end up in this tug and pull where Yan Wushi would be like, peace. And then Shen Qiao was like, oh, finally I got rid of him. And then I kid you not, like 2 chapters later, Yan Wushi is back. That's something that's consistent throughout the entire series. Yan Wushi's like, what if I got things to do? I'm not out here trying to follow you. And next thing you know, Yan Wushi is back. And Shen Qiao is just like, why? Leave me alone. Like, please leave me alone. And there's no romance. It's genuinely, for the first couple of books, them getting to know each other as people. And Yan Wushi is legitimately not out here. Yan Wushi has no equal. Like, that's another thing I should probably mention. Yan Wushi has no equal. He feels everybody is beneath him. He is very cynical. He thinks if he feels there is a right enough number where people will sell each other out. And I can't say that he's wrong. I genuinely cannot say that he's wrong, except in this case, Shen Qiao exists to remind us that there can exist that person who is just like, I'm willing to face the adversity. I'm willing to suffer the consequences of being a good person. Because Yan Wushi is just like, you're stupid. You're stupid. You're out here doing good things. Why are you stupid? That's why people take advantage of you, you stupid MF. And Shen Qiao is just like, okay, well, thank you for that. And Shen Qiao just goes about his business and does what he wants to do. Now, maybe the results end up as catastrophic for him doing that nice thing, that good thing, that kind thing. But he does it anyway, because it's like, yeah, I'm not an idiot. I recognize that me doing a good thing might have adverse consequences for not just myself, but other people. And Yan Wushi is just like, wow, let me see how much further I can make your life worse then. Let's see how much further you want to continue to be a good person. I feel like I can break you. And you're just like, wow, Yan Wushi, you're a terrible person. You're just like, why are you a terrible person? Like, oh my God, it's so funny. It's so ridiculous. And it's just very matter of fact. So in book 1, they end up sort of saving each other's lives. They work through a number of challenges, fights together. Mind you, when Shen Qiao was thrown off that cliff, he lost all martial abilities, so he essentially has to go from like the 0 power level to the top. And when we're introduced to Yan Wushi, he's basically like the #1 guy in the martial arts world, if not #1, like 1.52. Like, he's unbeatable. And here comes, Shen Qiao, who is this weak man who is just like, well, I'm gonna do this good thing, and he provides the reason as to why he's doing this good thing. You're like, well, that also makes sense logically. It's just like the logical side of good, as opposed to Yan Wushi, who's like the logical side of evil. Book 2 continues to play on these themes, but it also expands the world. So we go from a very like insular relationship between Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao, and then in book 2, next thing you know, we've got court politics, imperial politics, and sect politics all mixing together. We have repeated betrayals towards Shen Qiao from Yan Wushi. We've got the emperor of like China meeting Shen Qiao and sort of being like, we can form a mutually beneficial relationship, but Shen Qiao immediately figuring out that's not something that would benefit him or his nature as a person. He also starts to see more of the world. Like I stated earlier, he has lived a very insular life upon his sect lives at a mountain peak. He does not interact with the world. So with his fall from grace, in a sense, he gets to interact with normal people. He gets to see the cunningness of man. When he is outside of the secular world, he could be like, well, if I was hungry, I would never do so and so. But we have one example in book 2, I believe, where there's this couple literally about to sell their child to some... Okay, the way the story explains it is there's starvation everywhere. People don't want to kill their own children, so they'll exchange their kid with another kid and then kill that person's other kid for food. So it's not like they're committing the sin of killing their child since they've exchanged it. And Shen Qiao is able to be like, this is a terrible thing. It's also terrible that the state, the government, the emperor is allowing its people to suffer this much. One side character that we get introduced to in book 2 that I completely love and enjoy is Bairong. She is, I believe, either the second in command or the head of a sect. And she's shown as a sexy lady. She's very flirtatious, but because she's sexy, because she's flirtatious, people think she's dumb. People figure, oh, she's just slept her way to the top, when it's like she actually has a cunning mind. And if she was a man, the implication that she slept her way to the top would never even be a factor. But also the fact that she's in a cult where they do dual cultivation, which is basically like that, and that also lowers, because God forbid a woman enjoys sex. God forbid a woman is all about her sexuality. So she's another character that I really enjoy seeing. She loves Shen Qiao's innocence. Like, Shen Qiao will be like, have you ever thought about not being evil? And Bairong is like, oh my God, you are adorable. Of course, all I want to be is evil. But the fact that you're even asking me if I would like to not be evil, like, Bairong folds. And Yan Wushi is just like, you trick. You goddamn trick. You stay away from my man. And in book 1 is where we start to get these, you can see the change in Yan Wushi. You can see him he starts to be very baby girl with Shen Qiao. And Shen Qiao just assumes it's Yan Wushi being a dick. And honestly, I think it's also Yan Wushi thinking he's just being a dick. So he starts being very, I would say, more territorial, more possessive, more like, bye Shen Qiao, hi Shen Qiao. I'm like, sir, you were gone for 12 and a half minutes. He didn't even have time to miss you yet. And Shen Qiao is always annoyed by Yan Wushi. He does not trust them. But these moments where they save each other, they have long conversations, they go through things. By the end of book 2, Shen Qiao was like, maybe you're not such a terrible person. Maybe there is a person that could be a friend, a bro in this martial arts world. And by the end of book 2, where Shen Qiao is just slightly like, we could be bros, Yan Wushi betrays him in the worst way possible. And you're just like, should have saw that coming. Now by book 3, the tables kind of flip, because throughout book 1, book 2, Shen Qiao has been weaker, but also throughout book 1 and book 2, Yan Wushi has been using Shen Qiao for experimentations to test his power levels. And by book 3, that bears fruit. And it bears fruit in the sense that Shen Qiao actually, again, even though he's been helping Yan Wushi through his difficulties, in book 3, he saves him. He saves him because everyone hates Yan Wushi. Yan Wushi is arrogant, he is mean, he is competent, he is the best fighter, and everyone's just like, well, we're gonna have to jump you now, sir. We're going to have to jump you. So, like I said, if Yan Wushi is number 1 in the martial world, everybody else who's like number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is like, guys, we all hate each other, but we hate Yan Wushi more. If we all combine our forces for this, maybe we can kill him. Shen Qiao finds out about this. He's like, oh man, I hate this guy. I really hate him, but like maybe I could save him. He has saved me those other times, even though he's also like tried to kill me and like messed up my like energy and betrayed me more times than I can like, count. But another thing is Shen Qiao realizing that Yan Wushi is a terrible, mean, cynical person, but Yan Wushi being alive and sort of a player in the game allows for less suffering of the common people. So he's like, I hate this guy, but like, I've done the math. I guess I'll try and save him. So everybody else is like, we're gonna jump him. We hate him. But Shen Qiao luckily gets there in time to save our boy. And again, it's just lovely how this journey of convenience turns into a journey of friendship where they do not like each other, do not see each other, but throughout the books, Yan Wushi starts to respect Shen Qiao. He's like, your point of view is stupid, but I see, like, he starts to respect him. He starts to respect his point of view. He sees that Shen Qiao believes what he says, and because of that, that changes Yan Wushi's point of view of Shen Qiao. Now, for Shen Qiao is like, I hate this man. And it's not even like a cute, flirty hate. Shen Qiao is just like, if I wasn't a good person, you are lucky I'm a good person. If I wasn't a good person. And that's how like book 3 and 4 go, where it's just Shen Qiao being like, thank God I'm a good person. And at this point, Yan Wushi like likes him. Whether or not Yan Wushi realizes how deeply he likes him, he still knows he is like, okay, we could be bros now. Is it something deeper than that? Is it something? And Shen Qiao the entire time is like, I would throw him off a cliff if I could. So now the tables have sort of flipped, where Shen Qiao, because of Yan Wushi's earlier behavior in like book 1 and book 2, where he's lying, he's playing games, he's betraying him. By book 3 and book 4, Shen Qiao absolutely does not believe anything Yan Wushi says. He feels there's always an ulterior motive, and Yan Wushi is just like, but I'm just nice to you though. And again, it just makes the story so much cuter, so much fun, and a lot of other things are happening. Like, of course, I've sort of kept the story at Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao, but there is like all these other, there's the Buddhist sect, there is the Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism. So all these sects, religions have their own like martial gang. And Yan Wushi is the head of the demonic sect. And at this point in the story, they've all sort of been kept on like an even footing, where not one sect has the, what's the word I'm looking for? Not one sect has the primary power. So they still gotta sort of work, but all these sects that end up being like, we're gonna jump you, Yan Wushi, it's because they know if they defeat Yan Wushi, then their sect has the power of being the number 1 in like the world. And they get the emperor, they get the backing, they get the money, they get the disciples. And it's a very interesting way to sort of look at like how the fight of religion influences politics is also a way you can look at it. It's very well done. But yeah, Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao is ultimately what I'm here for, and it's lovely. So yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna sort of say about Thousand Autumns and why you should read it. If you would like for me to delve deeper into any of the book volumes, please let me know down below in the comments. I would absolutely love to come back and talk about this book series. Again, I'm currently reading volume 5 and cannot wait to finish it. But yeah, again, if you want me to come back and talk about it a little bit more, please let me know. Like this video, share this video with people that you know, like Thousand Autumns. Again, 7 months, 50 views on a video. How? But yeah, outside of that, absolutely read Thousand Autumns. It is a great book. It is grown men having grown men relationships and grown men conversations, but the flirting you get when you get it, it hits, and it's just really good. It's just really good. So check it out. That's it. Bye.